auteur is defined as a filmmaker whose artistic control over a movie is so great that they are regarded as the author of the movie. The auteur theory argues that a film is a reflection of the director's artistic vision, so a movie directed by a filmmaker will have recognizable themes that inform who the director is and shows a consistent artistic identity. But how well does it translate within the realm of animation? Back in the early 20th century, when animation was a relatively new medium, most of the people in the industry were young comic book artists hoping to branch out. Since it was so new, there weren't any proper classes or rules set in stone the way we have today. It was definitely more of a process of figuring things out on your own. A black and white medium had its limitations for sure. Automatically developing a distinct personal style would require lots of thinking time, and time is money. Hence, so many studios copying art styles since it was a guaranteed formula for success. That said, the rubber hose style was merely invented due to trial and error and figuring out the quickest way to produce animation. The style is very charming, but it certainly does lack a sense of individuality in it. Cartoons weren't always for kids. Like I previously mentioned, cartoons used to be made by younger people to appeal to a young adult audience. That means that some of the themes were more controversial than others. That's when American politician Will Hayes introduced the Hays Code, which was a set of rules prohibiting the use of offensive jokes and profanity in any form of recorded entertainment. This went on for 30 more years until it was lifted in the 70s, where at that point at-home television had risen in demand, sparking a recession in Hollywood where production budgets started dropping dramatically. Because of the rise of television, cartoons just had to become more kid-friendly regardless of the Hays Code. It was the 80s, and to make up for all the financial loss within the entertainment industry, most cartoons that were produced at the time were just there to sell toys like a glorified commercial. There were, of course, some exceptions. Nickelodeon went in a totally different route. Their plan was to hire just a few people to pitch multiple shows and see what works, which ultimately was the way to go. An example of that was with animation duo Klasky Shupo, who brought with them 90s classics such as Rugrats and The Wild Thornberrys, showcasing their Eastern European heritage with an Americanized twist. Their shows displayed themes of visualizing ordinary lives and everyday activities through the eyes of children, all while showcasing this wacky yet charming art style, which isn't trying to be conventionally attractive. Another example I like to mention is Nickelodeon's Butch Hartman. He introduced the world to iconic shows such as The Fairly OddParents and Danny Phantom, with similarities between the shows such as problem solving in untraditional ways and making changes without interfering with each of the show's plots. The art style is pretty good as well, going into the millennium with this futuristic, sharp edges and thick lines art style. Having a unique art style like this can be great for marketing because it allows the general audience to know the theme or even the quality of the show just by appearances alone. To put it in the simplest of words, streaming culture and short form video content is the reason modern audiences crave instant gratification. Not to mention, technology is just exponentially getting better as well. Like mentioned previously, time is money, and whether you like it or not, entertainment will always be a business, and profit is the number one priority. So naturally, they will notice audiences' feedback and decide where to go from there. Most of the time, shows would just get cancelled if they don't do well, and it's back to the drawing board. That's why it is much harder to find animators who showcase their own personal style in shows anymore. Sure, it is great to see so many art styles circulating, but they're never enough to satisfy people for a traditional longer time period. I guess the best way to conclude is that yes, there is auteurism in animation, but not to a 1-to-1 ratio as the film industry, due to underlying factors such as budget cuts or maybe creative differences, for example. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't still be excited to see what there is in store for us, though.